So if you've been keeping up with AI, you know we've gone way beyond just asking chatbots simple questions. The next big thing is already here, and it's called AI agents. Today, we're going to break down exactly what they are, how they tick, and why they're a total game changer for how we interact with artificial intelligence. Let's dive in.
To really wrap your head around what an agent is, first we have to talk about what it isn't. This isn't about giving AI a single command and just getting a single answer back. No, this is a completely different way of working. Think about writing an essay. With a traditional AI, you'd give it a prompt and boom, it just spits out the whole thing in one go. But that's not how we work, is it? An AI agent, on the other hand, acts a lot more like a person. It'll actually create a plan, do some research, write a messy first draft, and then, and this is the key part, it reflects on its own work and revises it. It's this continuous loop of making things better.
And this quote just nails the core idea perfectly. It's all about the process. By working iteratively, step by step, these agents can tackle way more complex problems, get much higher accuracy, and come up with results that feel so much more thought out and polished than a single-shot prompt ever could.
So what's actually happening under the hood? How does an agent really think and act and then learn from what it just did? Well, it all comes down to a really simple but incredibly powerful cycle.
It's called the REACT loop, which is short for reason and act. It's a simple four-step dance. First, the agent reasons. It thinks about the task and what it needs to do. Then it acts. It takes an action, usually with a specific tool. Next, it observes the outcome of that action. And finally, it repeats the whole loop, using what it just learned to figure out the next best move. And it keeps going until the job is done.
Okay, but that's the key question, isn't it? A large language model, at its core, is just a text generator. So how does it go from just thinking about something to actually doing it? Well, the answer lies in its toolkit.
The answer is tools. See, we give the agent a whole toolkit of functions it can call on to interact with the real world. For instance, it can't browse the internet on its own, but we can give it a web search tool. It can't just access your company's sales data, but it can run a database query to get it. These tools are what transform a language model from a text generator into an AI that can actually get things done.
Now here's where it gets really interesting. We don't have to stop with just one agent. For those really complex projects, we can build a whole team of specialized agents that actually collaborate with each other, just like a human team would.
Just imagine you're creating a marketing brochure. First up is your research agent. Its only job is to go out there, scan the web, look through your internal documents, and find all the relevant data. It's using its specialized tools for search and note-taking.
Next, you might have a graphic designer agent. It takes all that data from the researcher and uses its own tools, things like image generation models or code libraries, to create all the charts and visuals you need for the brochure.
And finally, you've got a writer agent. It takes the research from Agent 1 and the visuals from Agent 2, and its job is to synthesize all of it into compelling marketing copy. Now, this agent might not even need any external tools. Its specialty is the language model itself. By having each agent specialize, they each perform their task better, and that leads to a much higher quality final product.
The simplest way to get them working together is a sequential workflow, basically like an assembly line. The researcher finishes its work and passes it to the designer, who then passes their finished assets over to the writer. It's predictable, it's easy to troubleshoot, and it's a great way to start building these multi-agent systems.
But all this autonomy comes with a challenge, and that's unpredictability. Since these agents are making their own decisions, they can also make mistakes. So to use them in the real world, we need to build in some safety features, or as we call them, guardrails.
We have three main types of guardrails. For simple, objective checks, like, hey, is the output in the right format? You can just use simple code snippets. They're super fast and cheap. For more nuanced things, like checking the tone of an email, you can use another AI as a judge to evaluate the agent's work. And for the most critical, high-stakes tasks, you can build in a human approval step, where the agent has to literally stop and wait for a person to give the final okay. So, when you combine everything we've talked about, the iterative loops, the tools, the multi-agent teams, you start to see a really clear picture of the future. It's a huge shift in how we're going to be using AI, and believe me, it is happening right now.
And this, right here, is the most important takeaway. We are moving beyond just giving commands to a tool. Instead, we're becoming managers, we're becoming collaborators, we're defining goals for our AI teams and overseeing their work. It's a much more powerful and dynamic kind of partnership.
So this leaves us with a final and pretty important question. Now that you understand how these AI teams work, think about the complex, multi-step projects in your own life. If you could build your very own team of specialized AI agents, what would be the very first problem you'd have them solve? The possibilities? Well, they're just beginning to unfold.